It's D-Day at the Volvo Ocean Race, Departure Day. 6 teams are preparing to face the first leg of the ultimate ocean voyage. 39,000 nautical miles, 9 ports across 5 continents. The Volvo Ocean Race is the world's premier sailing challenge, and the journey begins today. The shore crews have been busy working around the clock to ensure that the final packing has been completed and each team has everything required for their voyage to Cape Town. For the moment at least, their work is complete and the boats are handed over to the sailing crew.
Well, I think you can just feel the team spirit building now. You know, it's time to go, time to get the boats off the dock and get out there. The guys have done a great job over the last 3 months getting the boat ready. But as part of the shore crew, to actually see them leave, it's quite an exciting time to see all your hard work coming to fruition.
They are mixed emotions. One, it's absolute relief that you've actually got to this point of the race. So when the boat goes, one, yes, I think the entire shore team is quite relieved to see it go, because there are a few little, questionable jobs you get asked to do that you'd love to say, do we really need to? But at the end of the day, you also feel this, accountability, liability, that whole thing that you don't want the boat to let the team down, the guys down. So of course, at any time the phone would ring with an 807 number while the boat's at sea, you're always a bit like, oh, heart in the throat and hope that everything's okay.
You can basically break whatever you want to break. If you try hard enough, you can break anything. And over time, the boats will break. It's just a managing when it's time to get off the gas and when it's time to get on the gas. That's the management game now. For sure, the boats are a lot better now. The development, the technology is a lot better than it was the first and second version, so the boats are even better now. So you can push harder for longer, but it's a fine managing game of when to get off the gas and when to keep going.
We are getting the boats ready for the first leg, but we've also been working quite heavily in preparing for the actual stopover in Cape Town to make sure we don't leave any rock unturned before we arrive.
The tweaking never stops. It's just, it's an infinitive circle. You just keep chasing your tail, and sometimes the boats are heading into Armageddon. Sometimes they're just going to be swanning around the equator. There are nights that you probably get a better night's sleep, and other nights where you've got the phone by your pillow, like literally the phone is right beside your head, just knowing that it potentially could ring more than any other night. What we've got in front of us right now is always a work in progress.
On the dock, the crowds have gathered to bid the fleet farewell as the teams head to their new floating homes. The race has given the royal seal of approval too, with the presence of His Royal Highness Prince Philippe pausing to exchange a few words with our intrepid sailors. As the final farewells are made and the boats push off from the docks, friends and family wave goodbye. 20 days of hard racing lie ahead.
Hombre, hay muchas emociones en el momento de la salida, en cada etapa, pero especialmente al principio. No es algo que comienza, es una aventura que empieza y cuando llega el momento, pues ya queda de lado, los amigos quedan de lado y hay que salir a competir, ¿no?
This will be my first time leaving the dock, leaving kids on the dock though, so that's going to be a pretty big change for me. I'm not very good at it either, but on the flip side, I think I've got an incredibly understanding wife with Emma, who's sailed around the world numerous times and on her own, and that's about as lucky as you can be. She does know exactly what I'm going through, so she really gets it.
Well, I remember the last race, and in particular I remember Alicante, because to be honest I didn't know where I was going either. This was my first ocean leg. I'd never been at sea for more than 6 days before, so I had no idea what was ahead of me. And with the kids it's always a little bit harder. I guess probably my main job would be to try and stop my 8-year-old from crying.
The farewell on the docks can be brutal, so for me personally in the past I've sort of done a farewell 10 minutes prior to docking out away from the broader public, just because I want a more quiet moment with my family.
C'est un moment assez difficile parce que effectivement on change de vie complètement en quelques minutes.
It's a difficult moment because we are fully changing our way of life in just a few minutes. The night before we're with our friends and our family on land, around a table spending quality time together, and then suddenly we're in a very uncomfortable place surrounded by water with no land anymore.
et plus de terre autour de soi.
It's well documented, saying goodbye is the hardest part of this race. And the problem is, you don't just do it once. You know, you do it, 9 or 10 times. And that starts to wear you out. The salvation for me is the starting gun goes off. And then all of a sudden, you can switch. You know, there's some switch someplace internally that allows you to leave home and go out into a race again. Thank God for the starting gun, because without that, I think we'd all be messes.
Before the teams hit the open sea, there's a lap of honour as they race around the import course one last time before setting their compasses for Cape Town.
We're dressed up, these boats will be wet, we're in for a very wet night, but we're not going to get as wet as Zinedine Zidane, who's going to be jumping off our boat once we've done the preliminary circuits here.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wet and wild for this first 24 hours, and you know, we've got 340 odd miles till we exit the Straits of Gibraltar, and so we, you know, we need to dig it in pretty hard until then. Really catch-22, you don't want to get dropped and be left behind. But you don't want to break anything and do anything dumb, so it's quite a tricky time.
There may be 20 days of hard racing ahead of them, but right now it's cat and mouse as the boats jostle for the optimum position in the pre-start. Okay, 30 seconds to the start, and we've just seen Groupama absolutely parked. That almost looked like there was contact there, but Groupama now struggling to get going. 24 to the start, and well, when they park up, they park up.
Well, they do, Martin. They lose grip. They go sideways, and now coming into 15 seconds to go. So the start of the Volvo Ocean Race, 10 seconds. We've got in that windward position. Telefonica have pulled the trigger. They're away. Emirates, the Camper have already gone for their A3. The gunner's gone. The start of the Volvo Ocean Race. The boats are reasonably bow to bow with Camper. Looks like they're in a very strong position with Telefonica to windward.
Well, look at Ken Reid. Ken Reid breathing hard. This is a tense moment for all these boats. Camper out on a flyer there. Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand, but this is on board now with Ken Reid. Ken Reid with Puma Ocean Racing, powered by Berg, and he looks across at the opposition. Well, these boats are flying, Jerry.
Yeah, so that was a spectacular start. As you know, we talked about earlier, that pin end being a strong position, and Chris Nicholson just nailed the pin and got into the first pressure, and he's off. Puma had a nice spot too, so right now Telefonica, if they get a good puff, they could get right back in and actually command the lead going into that first mark.
Emirates Team New Zealand Camper, a bow forward. They're in a beautiful puff of breeze there now.
And tail's gone.
So at Mark 1, and Emirates Team New Zealand on board this big red Camper boat. Their first around, and they're on the run now.
So it'll be a reach down towards the start lines again. Might be a little bit tighter this time. We're not seeing the sails being unfoiled, so the angle is a little bit further forward, which means the sail selection.
Oh, you can see the effort that's going into this from, as we were saying, they are short-handed on these boats, understaffed really. I mean, normally on a boat like this, racing around the Cans, you might have a crew of 20, not just the 10 that are actually doing all the work here.
There's a bit of an issue here on Puma. What happened on Puma there? It looks like they've recovered, but something went on Puma.
Well, it looked like maybe, I don't know, Jerry, could you see that? It almost looked like they couldn't get the roller in properly.
Yeah, they may have a problem with their roller furling sail. I can see cloth flapping, and that's it'll be tough to deploy. Up there head to wind, there's something, I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe they're having trouble getting the jib on lock.
Yeah, it's well, you can see that the Genoa is the big Hetzel is now coming down. It looks like they're getting it sorted out.
Now, Groupama, did they have an infringement just after Mark 1? It looks to me as though they've done a penalty turn.
Yeah, they may have had a foul in there, but you know, they're doing their turns. It's too expensive to quite get in a protest situation, but he's doing his turns right now.
Groupama's voluntary two-turn penalty was in fact due to their collision with Puma Ocean Racing before the start of the race. Okay, in comes Camper now. There's the boy on the DHL boy on the right-hand side. This is going to, they'll get the call, deploy, out will come that big roller, and there they
It's going to be a jibe first. This is a jibe set. So angle-wise, the making board is...
There it goes, like a barber's pole unravelling there. Out comes the red and white, a big giant sail on board Camper. Telefonica coming in, and then how are we going to go on board Puma? Now what's going to be the story here? It looks okay.
Now they've got a different sail on the foredeck. Maybe Jerry, can you see what they've got on the foredeck now?
Yeah, they've shifted. The sail they have hoisted is their masthead. It's either an A3 or a 0. So they've recovered nicely from that on that little transition they went through. They should be fine on this leg.
Looks like there's a problem on Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. It's not working right. They can't unfurl. Here it goes.
Yeah, the port looks like the furler just
might have jam there.
A rope jammed on the furling device.
Justin Slattery climbing out of onto the bow to get that released. As we see Groupama bringing up the rear of the fleet, having had to take a penalty for an infringement on the previous leg. Well, that'll be a bit of a disappointment, a bit of a kick in the teeth for them, because that's not what you want to be happening in right at the very start of a race, being on the back foot. This fleet departure is the latest chapter in a story that began almost 40 years ago. The Volvo Ocean Race has a dramatic history, and here in Alicante, heroes of previous races have gathered to take part in a Legends regatta. The regatta has seen boats, skippers and crews from every Whitbread round the world and Volvo Ocean Race reunited to reminisce about their own unique sailing experiences. One of the event's ambassadors is Lady Pippa Blake, widow of the truly legendary Sir Peter. Although his absence leaves a significant hole in proceedings, it's clear the event is something he would have revelled in. Lady Pippa is on board Steinlager, her husband's victorious boat from the 1989-90 Whitbread race.
I mean, there was an emotional moment, I have to say, when I went down below and there was a chart room where Peter used to sit, and Mike Quilter, and that, certainly, not without some emotion, but to have this event and to get these boats here, I think it's a sort of very positive. No, Peter would have loved to have been here.
Steinlager is renewing its epic rivalry with Fisher and Paykel, skippered then by the indomitable Grant Dalton.
Fisher and Paykel and Steinlager, obviously they're from a different era, but they don't look wrong for a round the world race. And you go on board, I went back on Fisher and Paykel, I remember everything about it, and it was designed to go racing around the world.
But bragging rights here in Alicante belong to the Grande Dame of the Legends fleet.
Great Britain 2, built for Shea Blythe and a team of paratroopers to sail around the world in the first Whitbread round the world race. Built in 1973, Shea decided to build the boat to be the fastest to race around the world, which they achieved in that first race. They set the world record in 1973 of 144 days.
And talking of Grande Dame, Dawn Riley returns to skipper Heineken, a predominantly female crew composed of the ladies from Heineken, Maiden and other successful campaigns. Pioneers in sailing, pioneers in sport.
It's fun to sail with everybody again.
Jib on all the way, lean out all the way.
We've spanned quite a range of ages and years, and there's been huge progress in women in sailing since those days when they thought we were going to cry on Maiden and not be able to make it out of the English Channel.
Ocean racing is the ultimate team sport, and in 1986 the aptly named L'Esprit d'Equipe, skippered by Lionel Pion, claimed a classic victory. The original skipper, crew and boat returned to demonstrate their incredible teamwork 25 years after their race win. Teamwork that ensured they took the Sir Peter Blake Trophy home to France. All told, almost 2,000 sailors on 148 boats have started the race, and the Legends Regatta paid homage to their commitment, passion, skill and spirit of adventure.
Well, you know, we all do the same story. Someone won, someone lost, but we make a great story. It's from my side with team spirit, l'esprit d'équipe. To do the Whitbread at the period was one of my dreams, one of my kids' dreams, and I succeeded in my dream. That's great.
Back on the racecourse, the big cat is preparing to pounce on Team Telefonica. You just see Ike Martinez sprinting from wheel to wheel. He's a picture of concentration there. Pounced on that wheel like a cat as they go through their manoeuvre.
A bit of a problem here, Martin, on Telefonica. They jive. The spinnaker sheet actually got caught on top of the board, and that meant that they couldn't sheet it on. Now we can see the grinders working overtime in the middle of the boat to get that spinnaker sheeted back on. So not the tidiest jibe for Telefonica.
Well, look at this. We've not really seen sights like this so far. That thing is surfing, absolutely shooting past the mark there as they get ready and for the final leg of this little onshore burst.
Yeah, we got a critical situation coming up with Telefonica, Puma and Senya all trying to get their big gear in and get around this mark.
What a mark. Whoa. There's Puma smoking into Mark 3.
Absolutely smoking.
Who's going to get here? I think these boats have come at Telefonica. It'll be interesting to look. But Puma, again, have had trouble getting that downwind sail deployed. Retrieving that downwind sail. You can see just pulling on the roller.
Casey
it's not
Smith
rolling
copping
away.
it up on the bow. Whoa.
This is tough work.
This is tough work. Are you missing it, Jerry?
You know, right here's a good spot.
Okay, this is a little untidy now on Puma. Just trying to get it sorted again. This being short-handed, all hands to the pumps at the back. Melvin Harrop on the winch in front of us there. Here comes Telefonica.
So Telefonica got passed by Puma on the downwind, but who's done the tidier manoeuvre around the mark? It looked to me as though Puma had a little bit of a few issues with getting the Jenica foiled away or rolled up. Telefonica have come round reasonably tidy.
Yeah, there's been a real issue. Looks like Mike Sanderson is struggling to get control of his kite.
We're on board now with Senya.
They had a problem and were unable to lose the sail and just carried on past the mark, so now they've got to play catch-up. I think we're going to go on board camper.
It's going all right. We've had the big sails up downwind and the small sails up upwind, so it's sort of paid off. Just got an attack coming up here in about 20 seconds. So. Got an attack coming up here, boys.
Okay, so that's Andy McLean giving us the lowdown there. He's a co-navigator and pitman on board camper with Emirates Team New Zealand, and Chris Nicholson just swings one wheel and walks across from the port wheel to the starboard wheel. You see the dagger board slide into the sea, the fern leaf on top of it.
Camper have got a pretty handy lead, and this inshore section has certainly been action-packed.
Puma looking good now, up in second place, Kenny Reid. And I mean, there's that litany of things to dislike about the race, but what a buzz this must be to be sailing these fantastic racing machines. Great scene here in Alicante, the home port of the Volvo Ocean Race. We'll be back here for the next edition too, the next start, as we see the home boat, Telefonica. Team Telefonica with Ike Martinez, the Olympic gold medalist. He's on fire in front of his home port, in front of his home crowd. And it would have been a very emotional departure for him, I'm sure. But they're into race mode now. And as we say, this will be, you know, a sort of sense of relief to get away as we see Camper leading the fleet out. On board with Abu Dhabi now.
Over the lane.
Just sorry to interrupt. We've just seen the leap off the back of Puma, and that was Laird Hamilton doing his jump. Sorry to interrupt there. It was just a bit of a shock. Puma Ocean Racing's 12th man, Laird Hamilton, is no stranger to extreme sports. The surf legend and pioneer of paddleboarding knows only too well the endurance required to take on the might of the ocean.
For me, it's a great honor to be involved in this race, as limited as my participation will be. Just to be around these guys, and this event is a powerful challenge that these men are about ready to set off on.
Laird teamed up with acclaimed boat designer 1K to design a new paddleboard based around Mar Mostro. The Puma Ocean Racing vessel was a brainchild of the Argentine architect. Similarities between boat and board clear for all to see.
Well, I've had the fortune and the opportunity to develop a stand-up paddling board around the design of the Puma boat with 1K. The board's an amazing board, as the boat is an amazing boat, and so it's been an interesting process. The board itself is designed as close as we could to the boat, just that we don't have sails on our board. We are the sails. The whole design and the configuration and the design itself stems from the boat. It's as close to the boat as we could get it without being the boat.
Laird and the Puma crew are old hands when it comes to the ocean, each always seeking to ride the crest of the next big wave. While I cannot tame Mother Nature, all have to show her ultimate respect.
The second you think that you have some sort of dominion over the ocean or over Mother Nature is usually when she lashes out and reminds you that you're just quite insignificant. The respect that I have for these gentlemen and this challenge is immense.
We've just seen Laird Hamilton. Well, that was quite something. Now, here we go on board Abu Dhabi. And Ian Walker there at the helm.
Kemper. They were first off the line, Martin, and as we expected, if you win the start, you're probably going to win this first phase of the first leg of the Volvo Ocean Race.
Well, it's
an awful long way to go yet.
It's a mere 6,500 miles.
Now, Martin, there's the mark I was talking about. So they come around that yellow mark. We can see Chris Nicholson brings the bow down. And they'll just check the angle. They will not be in a massive hurry to deploy.
Something like 2.5 minutes lead there around and into the race proper for Emirates, Team New Zealand and the camper campaign. We're on Abu Dhabi, and at the back behind Ian Walker is having a little joke there, is the great Zinedine Zidane, the 39-year-old midfielder, one of the greatest soccer players of all time. An unusual manoeuvre, here he goes, this is our man, whoa! Well, a slightly different sort of technique then from Zinedine Zidane.
Well, if you were scripting a start to the race, it would be this. This has been, I mean, the conditions and pre-start were brilliant. The little sprint round really around the harbour before they've set off on this first leg of the Volvo, and now they're really down to the business end of leg one.
They're on the way now. I'll close with some Kenny Reid, and he said this race pits the best against the best boats, the best people, the best programmes, and the best event. You win this race, you've done something. It's time to bid the Volvo Ocean Race fleet bon voyage as they head off on their big adventure. Next stop, Cape Town, South Africa. We'll see you then.